Welcome to Jars King Packaging, your essential guide to navigating Europe's new packaging landscape. I'm Alex.
And I'm Maya. If you're in the cosmetics, pharmaceutical, food, beverage, or any industry that puts products in packages and sells them in Europe, this podcast series is for you.
Today, we're diving into something massive, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, or PPWR. On February 11th, 2025, the most significant packaging legislation in 3 decades officially entered into force across the European Union.
And Alex, this is a complete transformation of how packaging is designed, manufactured, used, and disposed of throughout Europe's €1 trillion plus consumer market.
Exactly. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll break down everything you need to know. What PPWR is, who must comply, why Europe is doing this, and most importantly, what actions you need to take right now.
So whether you're a CEO, a product manager, a packaging engineer, or anyone involved in bringing packaged products to the EU market, stay with us. Let's get started. Okay, Alex, explain this for our listeners. What's the difference between a directive and a regulation?
Think of it this way. A directive sets goals and tells each of the 27 EU member states, you need to achieve this, but figure out how to do it yourselves. So each country creates its own implementing legislation.
Which sounds reasonable on the surface.
But in practice, it created 27 different interpretations, 27 different sets of requirements, and 27 different enforcement systems. If you're a global brand selling cosmetics across Europe, you had to navigate completely different packaging rules in France, Germany, Spain, and so on.
That sounds like a compliance nightmare.
It was incredibly costly and complex. Now here's the game changer. PPWR is a regulation, not a directive. That means it's directly applicable and uniform across all 27 member states.
So the same law applies everywhere.
Exactly the same. One set of rules for the entire European Union market of 450 million consumers. No more country-specific packaging variations, no more navigating 27 different national approval processes.
From a business perspective, that's actually a huge advantage.
Absolutely. It means you can design one packaging solution for the entire EU market. Lower costs, faster market entry, simplified compliance. It's a level playing field where all your competitors face identical requirements.
So even though the regulation is strict, the harmonization actually helps businesses.
That's exactly right. Now you're dealing with centralized technical documentation instead of fragmented national systems.
PPWR didn't appear out of nowhere, did it? There is a larger policy framework driving this.
You're absolutely right. PPWR is the centerpiece of 3 interconnected EU environmental policies. First, there's the European Green Deal, launched in December 2019.
The one aiming to make Europe the first climate-neutral continent by 2050?
Exactly. The Green Deal made a specific commitment about packaging. Make all packaging on the EU market reusable or recyclable in an economically viable way by 2030.
That's only 5 years away now.
Which is why this is so urgent. Then there's the Circular Economy Action Plan from March 2020, which provides the detailed roadmap for transforming from a linear to a circular economy.
Explain that difference for our listeners, linear versus circular.
Sure. In the old linear economy model, you design packaging, produce it from virgin materials, use it once, then dispose of it through landfill or incineration. It's a take, make, dispose system.
And we're literally throwing away economic value.
Exactly. The circular economy model is completely different. You design packaging to be recyclable or reusable from the start. You integrate recycled content in production. Products go through multiple use cycles through reuse or refill systems. And materials get recycled back into new packaging.
So resources stay in the loop instead of becoming waste.
Precisely. The Circular Economy Action Plan projects this will create 700,000 new jobs in EU circular economy sectors by 2030, save over €600 billion through resource efficiency, and reduce dependency on imported raw materials.
Those are compelling economic benefits beyond just environmental ones.
And the third pillar is the European Strategy for Plastics from January 2018, which specifically addresses the plastic crisis. Remember that 40% of all EU plastics go into packaging. This strategy targets transforming that entire value chain.
Now, Maya, let's talk about who actually has to comply with PPWR. This is where many companies get confused.
The short answer is, if you place packaged products on the EU market, you are subject to PPWR requirements, right?
Correct. And that applies regardless of where your packaging is manufactured, where your brand headquarters is located, whether you're selling B2B or B2C, or what sales channel you use.
So even if I'm a cosmetics brand headquartered in New York or Shanghai with no physical presence in Europe,
if your packaged products are sold to any customer in the EU's 27 member states, you must comply. The key term is placed on the market.
what does that mean exactly?
Packaging is placed on the market when it's first made available on the EU market. Typically, that's when a manufacturer sells packaging to an EU customer. An importer brings packaged goods from outside the EU into the EU, or a brand owner distributes packaged products to EU retailers or consumers.
So there are different categories of responsibility?
Yes. PPWR defines 4 categories of economic operators. First are manufacturers. That's anyone who manufactures packaging or has packaging designed or manufactured and markets it under their name or trademark.
That includes brand owners who contract manufacturing?
Exactly. They have primary responsibility for compliance, the design, materials, and performance. Second are importers, people established in the EU who place packaging from third countries onto the EU market.
They act as the manufacturer's representative for non-EU manufacturers?
Correct. And they assume full compliance responsibility when placing on market. Third are distributors, retailers, wholesalers, resellers, e-commerce platforms. They must verify supplier compliance and can't knowingly sell non-compliant packaging.
Due diligence requirements.
Right. And fourth are authorized representatives, someone in the EU authorized by a non-EU manufacturer to act on their behalf for compliance documentation and authority communication.
So if I'm a US-based brand, I could appoint an authorized representative in Europe to handle the compliance administration.
Exactly. Or you work with an EU importer who assumes the compliance responsibility. Either way, you need an EU presence for compliance purposes.
Alex, what exactly counts as packaging under PPWR? Because I imagine some categories might surprise people.
You're absolutely right. PPWR provides a comprehensive definition covering all packaging types. Let's break it down by category.
Start with the obvious one, primary packaging.
That's sales packaging, also called primary packaging. It's conceived as a sales unit to the end user at the point of purchase. Think cosmetic jars, perfume bottles, food containers, beverage bottles, blister packs.
What about the boxes that group multiple products together?
That's secondary or grouped packaging. It groups a certain number of sales units at the point of purchase and can be removed without affecting the product. Display boxes, shrink-wrap bundles, cardboard wrapping around multiple units.
And transport packaging?
Tertiary or transport packaging facilitates handling and transport to prevent damage during distribution. Pallets, stretch wrap, shipping boxes, crates, industrial containers. There's also service packaging.
What's that?
Packaging conceived to be filled at the point of sale. Takeaway containers, shopping bags, paper wrapping, coffee cups.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. What are some things that might surprise people about what counts as packaging?
Great question. Tea bags and coffee pods count as packaging despite containing product residue. Single-serve capsules like Nespresso-style pods, labels and stickers on products, including those little stickers on fruit, adhesive tape for sealing, sandwich bags sold filled, and cups sold containing beverages, all packaging.
What about things that aren't considered packaging?
Integral product parts that aren't disposed of separately, paints or inks or adhesives applied directly to products, items sold empty by the final distributor unless designed for point-of-sale filling, and product components inseparable from product function.
There's also this 5% rule, right?
Yes, the composite packaging rule. If a material represents 5% or less of total packaging mass, the packaging is not considered composite. This simplifies classification.
So a glass jar with a small paper label that's only 3% by weight?
Would be classified as glass packaging, not composite. Much simpler for recycling stream assignment.
Maya, let's discuss what PPWR actually aims to achieve. There are 5 interconnected objectives.
And these work together synergistically, right?
Exactly. First objective, minimize packaging quantities and waste generation. The targets are ambitious. 5% waste reduction by 2030 compared to 2018 baseline, 10% by 2035, and 15% by 2040.
How do they achieve that?
Through packaging minimization requirements, using only the minimum necessary weight and volume, maximum 40% empty space for grouped and transport packaging, bans on unnecessary single-use formats, and mandatory reuse systems replacing disposable packaging.
Second objective?
Make all packaging recyclable by 2030. And recyclable means in an economically viable way, designed for material recycling, capable of separate collection at scale, sortable into specific waste streams, and recyclable in established infrastructure.
And they enforce this through performance grades.
Yes, recyclability performance grades A, B, and C. Below grade C, meaning less than 70% recyclable, is banned from 2030. Grade B minimum, which is at least 80% recyclable, becomes required from 2038.
Third objective, recycled content.
Right. Focus primarily on plastic packaging since it has the lowest recycled content uptake. The mandatory targets are 30% average across all plastic packaging by 2030 and 65% average for most categories by 2040.
That creates demand for recycled materials.
Exactly. It drives recycling infrastructure investment and reduces virgin plastic production. The fourth objective is to reduce the use of virgin materials overall.
Because extraction and processing have environmental impacts.
Correct. Remember, 40% of EU plastics and 50% of paper go into packaging. Reducing virgin material means lower supply chain vulnerability and less environmental extraction impact. This happens through recycled content mandates, displacing virgin material, reuse systems, reducing single-use production, and design efficiency, minimizing material use.
And the fifth objective?
The conclusive insight is achieving climate neutrality by 2050. This aligns with the EU's Fit for 55 package and European climate law. The key insight is that recycling versus incineration is 5 times better for fossil fuel use.
So these 5 objectives create a reinforcing system.
Exactly. If you minimize packaging, that's less material used and less waste generated. Recyclable design enables recovery. High-quality recycling produces recyclates. Recycled content mandates create demand for those recyclates. Less virgin material needs to be extracted. And reuse systems prevent waste entirely at the top of the waste hierarchy. The result is climate neutrality through a circular system.
Now we get to the practical side, how PPWR actually works. There are 5 compliance pillars, right, Alex?
Correct. Let me give you the overview, and we'll go deep into each pillar in future episodes. Pillar 1 is Design for Recyclability.
The performance grades we mentioned.
Right. Grade A is at least 95% recyclable. Grade B is at least 80%. Grade C is at least 70%. From January 1st, 2030, minimum grade C is required. From January 1st, 2038, minimum grade B is required.
What does this mean for multi-material packaging?
That's the challenge. A plastic pump with a metal spring and glass bottle combination often falls below grade C. Companies must redesign to mono-material or compatible material combinations.
Pillar 2?
Recycled content mandates. Contact-sensitive PET beverage bottles need 30% post-consumer recycled content by 2030, rising to 65% by 2040. Other contact-sensitive plastic needs 10% by 2030, 25% by 2040. All other plastic packaging needs 35% by 2030, 65% by 2040.
That's calculated per manufacturing plant on an annual average basis?
Correct, which gives flexibility across production runs. But it must be post-consumer recycled material only. Brands need to secure PCR plastic supply, verify chain of custody, and test material performance.
Interested. Pillar 3, substances of concern.
This is critical. PFAS, those forever chemicals, are banned in food contact packaging above specified thresholds, effective August 12, 2026. Heavy metals like lead, cadmium, mercury, and hexavalent chromium have some concentration limits. BPA is addressed via Food Contact Materials Regulation.
Material selection becomes crucial.
Absolutely. You need PFAS-free alternatives, heavy metal-free pigments, recyclability-compatible adhesives and inks. Pillar 4 is single-use bans and reuse targets.
What's banned?
From January 1st, 2030, condiment sachets under 150 milliliters, hotel miniature toiletries, single-use beverage containers for on-premise consumption, plastic packaging for fruits and vegetables under 1.5 kilograms, and shrink wrap for airport luggage.
And reuse targets?
Export packaging must be 40% reusable by 2030, 70% by 2040. Beverage containers 10% reusable by 2030, 40% by 2040. Grouped packaging 10% by 2030, 25% by 2040.
That requires completely new infrastructure.
Yes, reverse logistics, collection systems, refill stations. And Pillar 5 is packaging minimization.
The 40% empty space rule.
Right. Maximum 40% empty space ratio for grouped and transport packaging. The calculation is total volume minus product volume divided by total volume must be 40% or less. There are exemptions for reusable packaging, e-commerce, and protective needs, but the principle is clear. Eliminate decorative excess and right-size packaging.
How do these 5 pillars work together?
They're synergistic. Recyclable design enables high-quality recycling, which produces PCR materials, helping brands meet recycled content mandates. Substance restrictions prevent contamination, creating cleaner recycling streams and higher quality recyclates. Reuse systems sit at the top of the waste hierarchy, preventing waste entirely. And minimization reduces total material consumption regardless of recyclability.
So optimal packaging checks all 5 boxes.
Exactly. Reusable if feasible, minimized weight and volume, grade A recyclable monomaterial design, maximum feasible recycled content, and free from substances of concern. That transforms packaging from linear liability into circular asset.
Maya, let's talk about timing, because this is where urgency becomes clear.
We mentioned PPWR entered into force February 11th, 2025. What's next?
August 12th, 2026 is the general application date. That's when most PPWR provisions become mandatory. Non-compliant packaging cannot be placed on the EU market. Labeling requirements take effect. EPR obligations come under harmonized rules.
So we're talking about 18 months from now as of early 2025.
Correct. Then, February 12th, 2028, takeaway refill obligations kick in. Food service operators must accept customer containers. August 12th, 2028 is the harmonized labeling deadline. All packaging must display standardized material pictograms and recycling instructions.
And January 1st, 2030 is the major milestone?
Yes, that's when minimum grade C recyclability is required, recycled content targets of 10 to 35% for plastic packaging hit, single-use bans take effect, reuse targets of 40% for transport packaging activate, and member states must achieve 5% waste reduction versus 2018 baseline.
Then 2035 adds recycled at scale criteria.
Right. Proving packaging is actually recycled in established infrastructure, not just theoretically recyclable. And 10% waste reduction required. January 1st, 2038 raises the bar to minimum grade B recyclability.
And 2040 is the final long-term targets.
Exactly. 25 to 65% recycled content depending on category, 70% transport packaging reusable, 40% beverage containers reusable, and 15% waste reduction versus 2018.
Alex, what should companies be doing right now?
5 critical steps. First, conduct a comprehensive packaging audit. Inventory all packaging SKUs sold in EU market, classify by material type, document recyclability status, calculate packaging volumes and revenue per SKU, and flag single-use formats potentially subject to bans.
Second step?
Second, risk assessment and prioritization. Score each packaging format against recyclability grade, recycled content versus 2030 targets, single-use ban risk, substances of concern, and empty space ratio. Prioritize high-risk plus high-volume packaging for immediate action.
Third,
engage expert partners. Build your PPWR compliance team with packaging engineers for recyclability optimization, material suppliers for PCR sourcing, EPR service providers for multi-country registration, legal and compliance advisors, and testing labs.
fourth step is budget planning.
Yes, allocate funds for capital costs like redesign and tooling, operational costs like EPR fees and PCR material premiums, technology like digital product passport infrastructure, and contingency for regulatory surprises.
And fifth?
Is cross-functional alignment. Ensure organization-wide commitment from executive leadership, R&D, procurement, marketing, legal, compliance, and operations. Create a cross-functional PPWR task force with clear ownership.
The 18-month window to August 2026 is critical.
Absolutely critical. Every quarter of delay increases cost, complexity, and risk of market access disruption.
Alex, we've covered a lot of ground today. What's your final takeaway for our listeners?
PPWR represents both the greatest challenge and the greatest opportunity in packaging sustainability. Non-compliance means market access denial and fines up to 200,000 euros. But proactive compliance creates competitive advantage.
The first movers gain brand differentiation. Consumer preference. Remember, 73% are willing to pay a premium for sustainable packaging. Retailer favor, lower EPR fees, and innovation positioning.
While those who delay face market access barriers, reputational damage, competitive disadvantage, premium pricing pressure, and supply chain bottlenecks.
This is regulatory compliance, market alignment with consumer demand, and business evolution all together.
Exactly. The transformation is underway. PPWR is live law that becomes fully applicable in 18 months. The choice is clear. Lead and innovate proactively, or react and comply minimally under pressure.
In our next episode, we'll do a deep dive into the 5 critical compliance pillars: recyclability grades, recycled content mandates, substance bans, reuse targets, and minimization rules, covering exactly how to achieve compliance, testing methodologies, and real-world case studies.
If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe to Jarsking Packaging wherever you get your podcasts. Visit jarsking.com for additional resources and expert guidance on PPWR compliance.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, I'm Maya.
And I'm Alex. Stay compliant, stay competitive.